All right, welcome to week 8, video 2. In this video, we're going to go through the PowerPoint or the presentation of the textbook for chapter 8. And some of the things we're going to learn here is this is all about managing a digital lifestyle, challenges, and ethics. So we're going to talk about ethics in depth, like week 15 or 16 or 17. I've got an entire framework for thinking about ethics and understanding ethics and morality. Ethics and morality are all just standards of behavior. Okay, so what are the standards we use for behavior? So there's an entire framework, and it's important to think about ethics and morality. And if there's absolute morality, right, like is there some reason in our own personal positive benefit? Is there some personal positive benefit for us to be ethical, to have standards of behavior? And what would those standards of behavior be for our own benefit? And do they align with the collective, or is it purely self-interest, without regard to others? So there's an entire framework for thinking about that. We're going to look at that. It's important to think about ethics and morality because a lot of people struggle with that. And so understanding it's in your own best interest to treat others well and to have a standard of behavior which takes others into consideration is important. So we aren't going to do too much with ethics in this one, but the textbook touches on it. So in this chapter, what we learn is describe how digital convergence and the Internet of Things have evolved. So if I don't know what something is, and I'm like, what do they mean by digital convergence? And I think that's like all devices kind of coming together. The ability to view the same multimedia content from different devices and thanks to digitization, right? So, I get my email on my phone or my desktop, or I watch movies, my phone, my desktop, my TV, right? It doesn't matter. It's like, it's all kind of converged. And the Internet of Things is like, like my fridge is like talking to the grocery store and telling the grocery store that I'm out of milk, and the milk is automatically showing up at my house. I mean, that's not happening, but it's probably not too far in the distant future. Or, my laundry machine maybe is connected to the internet, and, it's like it knows its belt is wearing out. And so it emails me and tells me, I like to schedule a service call to replace the belt, right? Like that's everything, like your car now can be connected to the internet and report things. And I don't know. So that's like Internet of Things. It's all these things being connected. So explain the differences between digital and analog signals. So analog signal, I think about it like sound over a wire, or like film where there's actually frames, light shining through them or something. And digital is it's zeros and ones, it's digits, right? So that's digital versus analog. Describe it, it's like my voice, over a phone line would be analog, but through the computer, it's zeros and ones. So analog would be phone line or microphone, right? Blah. And through computers, it's zeros and ones. Describe the different types of e-readers. I don't know, Kindle? There's probably others. Explain how to purchase, borrow, and publish e-text. So there's this thing called CreateSpace, which is Amazon's way of publishing. You could do on demand. You can publish your books here, right? So you can now manage your CreateSpace content. So I don't know what it is called now, but that's that. You can publish books. Describe how digital music is created and stored. So the way it's stored is it's all back down to zeros and ones. And so we represent, computers run electricity. Electricity has two states, on and off. And then we create coding schemes for what those on-off states represent. The porch on Halloween, the porch light on Halloween is an example of that. If it's on, it means comes trick or treat. If it's off, it means go away. So we have a circuit or a switch in an on-off state, the porch light, right? And we have a coding scheme. So if it's on, it means one thing. If it's off, it means something else. And then we just do that a trillion times. And so with text, we say this series of on-off switches represents the letter A. That's the coding scheme. Or with color, we say this series of on-off switches represents this color for this pixel in this place on the screen. Or for sound, we say this series of on-off switches represents this sound. And so we get samples of sound every second, right? And for CD quality sound, we get 44,100 samples a second. That's 44.1 kilohertz. So 44,100 samples a second, and each sample is saying this sound, this sound, this sound, this sound, this sound, We're storing zeros and ones for each of those sounds. And then we play that fast enough, each of those individual little sounds, and it comes out sounding like the Rolling Stones or whatever the sound was, right? And so that's kind of how it's stored. And the way it's created, I mean, there's a million ways to create it, right? But the software like what's the software? Audacity, right? I don't know. GarageBand, right? There's like all kinds of different software that you could use to create digital music. Summarize how to listen to and publish digital music. I listen to digital music on Amazon Music or whatever. It's like $8. And there's also like Spotify, or there's, what's that other one? Spotify. Let's just see what comes up when we search for Spotify. I just want to search for it and see what other results come up. Oh, come on. Spotify. There we go. I just can't get it typed right. Go. There we go. So, I can't think of the other one. It's all Spotify. Similar searches. Beep, beep. It's all Spotify. Oh, people also search for SoundCloud. I don't know. There's other ones. So that's how you could listen to it. It's stored as like zeros and ones, MP3 files. Summarize how to listen to and publish digital music. Explain how to create, print, and share digital photos. So the photos are amazing today. You just like shoot them with your phone. They get stored up to a cloud service. I use Google Photos. All the photos automatically sync with my phone. They're always there. And then you could just go in there and you can say, I want to order that as a print, and they send it to you. Right? So that's Google Photos. You could also do something similar probably with Apple. I did not drink the Apple Kool-Aid. I drank the Google Kool-Aid. I think it was fine. Describe how to create, edit, and distribute digital video. Man, so you got to shoot it. You can shoot it with your phone, and then you can just upload to YouTube. It's the most basic level. If you want to edit it, you could get some editing software like Adobe Premiere, edit it, encode it, and then upload it. We have classes at City College that teach you how to do that. It's a whole class. Discuss the challenges of managing an active digital lifestyle, like maintaining your security and privacy, and the pressure of the brand, which is you, and then the pressure of like comparison, which the mind is want to do, and comparing your life to others, and the pressure to appear a certain way to gain social recognition and acceptance. It's intense. It's tough, right? So those are just some of the challenges. Describe various types of intellectual property. So intellectual property is contrasted with real property. When we talk about ownership and property, there's intellectual property and there's real property. Real property is like real estate. That's why we call it real estate. It's real. Real property is real. We can hold it. This is real property, right? It's real, okay? Intellectual property is like, but up my back I always hear time's winged chariot hurrying near. Right? Like that's intellectual property. Somebody wrote that poem. Andrew Marvell wrote it. And like, you can't grasp it. I can't say, here it is. Feel it? You want to feel it? Right? Like it's not graspable. It's not real, but it's still something somebody created. It's intellectual property. And so that includes songs, right? Like I got the fortunes of heaven and diamonds and gold. I got all the riches, baby, that the bank could hold, right? Like Bruce Springsteen, like wrote that song, right? Or it's a movie, or it's a screenplay, or it's software. It's these ideas that people have created, these things that people have created, which can be owned, but you can't grasp them. They're not real. So that's intellectual property, and it's contrasted from real property, which is real, right? Which you could grasp, okay? And you can still own intellectual property. And the reason we have ownership of intellectual property is that it incentivizes investment in the creation of things of an intellectual nature, whether it's software or movies or books or screenplays or poems or songs or whatever, right? People create it and then they could own it and they could sell it and they could protect it and they could generate revenue from it. Even pharmaceutical drugs, right? Invest billions of dollars, create a drug. And now they only are the ones who can market it because they own it. Nobody else can. So that's intellectual property. And there's a couple of types. There's trademarks, there's copyrights, and there's patents. And we'll talk about those coming up some other week. Explain how copyrights is obtained and the rights granted to owners. Explain copyright infringement. So that's that kind of a deal. And then finally we have plagiarism. Is when you write a paper or is when you try to pass off somebody else's work as your own without giving the person credit. So you could totally, write papers where you use other people's work. You just have to put in quotes, put a little footnote reference to it, and say where you got that. It's great. Okay. So I wrote entire papers in grad school, like 30-page long papers where 90% of what was in the paper was excerpts from what other people would say. Right? I just put quotes around it, put a little footnote on it, say I got it at the source, and then write a transition to the next excerpt. So you could totally quote people, but you just can't pass other people's work off as your own. Hoaxes and digital manipulation. That movie, The Social Dilemma, will go into that. Describe what, also the movie Disconnect went into that. Describe what compromises your online reputation and how to protect it. Man, what compromises your online reputation? You can't please everybody. That's the first thing. So if you post up, I like daisies, you're gonna piss off everybody who doesn't like flowers or doesn't like daisies. Can't please everybody. So, all right. Digital convergence, single unifying device to meet our digital needs. So might just be a little bit boring. We're just going to drone through these slides and see if anything else comes up to be said. There's, 24 of them. It shouldn't take too long, but we kind of went over everything. Digital convergence is a single unifying device to meet our digital needs. So, media, internet, entertainment, and telephone needs. It's like all on your phone or all there on your car. Internet things, see there's somebody's fridge connected to the internet. I don't know what the Digital Living Network line says. You could Google it. I don't really care. Digital basics, digital versus analog. Digital is long strings of numbers. Analog is continuous waves. I like that description, right? Here's the continuous wave. And then we take all these samples and say what each sound is at each sample, right? And so we could kind of see that. That's the digital. Electronic, e-text, textual information captured digitally, e-readers, devices that display e-text and have supporting tools like Kindle, digital publishing, distribution, fine. Kindle, Nook, Library, Gutenberg. Project Gutenberg's cool to check out. You could search for books there. Go check it out. You could self-publish your own books. I've done it. Analog to digital converter. So you're taking things that are analog, like sound, and then ADC, converting it to, zeros and ones. And then I guess the DAC, digital to analog converter, takes it back to sound. And sampling rate, we talked about that. For CD, it's 44.1 kilohertz. Options for listening to digital music. Port or dock on an audio receiver network. New cars equipped with digital rights management, and whatever. Digital cameras. Love me these DSLR lenses. So beautiful. If you want to shoot beautiful YouTube videos, you need to get a nice DSLR with an expensive lens. And it will look beautiful. So that's basically what this says. Resolution, pixel, file formats, number of data points captured, right? Picture element is a single dot. We've talked about resolution, 1920 by 1024. Was it 1920 by 1080? 1920 by 1080 is common resolution for HD. Photo printing photos and sources of digital video content, digital camcorders, video editing software. Where are you going to watch stuff? Straightforward stuff. Codecs for compressing audio and video. Make the compression decompression is what codec stands for. So they're taking a large file and they're figuring out how do we make this file smaller. And so the flag of Germany is like my classic example of codec. So here's the flag of Germany. Instead of storing each pixel and the color of each pixel, we could say from this pixel to this pixel, they are all yellow. From this pixel to this pixel, they're all the same red. And so we could greatly reduce the amount of data we have to store. We could compress that file by having a special algorithm that kind of can, convey in another way what the color is of each pixel without having to store the data for the color of each pixel. And then if you know how to read that algorithm, you could uncompress it, you could decompress it. So you can compress and you could decompress. You could have this codec, which can reduce the file size. Okay, that's a codec. High definition is a standard that guarantees a specific resolution and aspect ratio. So 1920 by 1080 is high def. I'm just looking to see if it says HD there anymore. Deep web, dark web, right? So the dark web is interesting, and it's a secret place on the web where you could go and everything that's, it's like the back alleys of society on the internet. So everything that you can't normally find on the internet, you can find it on the dark web. You want to order drugs online, that can be done on the dark web. And so you could go to YouTube and search TED Talk dark web and see interesting TED Talks on the dark web. Cryptocurrency is fascinating, and people made a ton of money with it. I was not one of them. And it's this like digital currency. And so Bitcoin is the most common digital currency. And then there's like, let me just see before I bring it up over here. What is it? It's called Coinbase. So let me see what the Coinbase looks like when I bring it up. So Coinbase is a platform where you can buy digital currency. That's fine. I can show you this. And, wow, Bitcoin's up to $10,890. That's amazing. I could have bought this like, a year ago at, well, let's look. Oh. It wanted me to sign in. Anyhow, that's cryptocurrency.